This is Blenderstyle, the show where we discuss a blend of heavy and extreme music. In this episode, Dissection, the Somberlain. This album was released in 1993 on No Fashion Records. Cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers.
Of the Blenderstyle. I'm familiar with the Rain Chaos album, which is Dissection's last album. This was your pick, Nate. What brought you to this album here?
Well, I've been a Dissection fan for many years. What really got me into this stuff was what made me want to pick this album actually is because I feel like it's a blend of many different things. Actually, I think this is black metal. I think this is death metal. I think it's at some points even heavy metal. So I think it's a well blended album, and the band has a lot of history to itself. And
Casey, are you familiar with Dissection at all?
I'm not. This is my first time hearing Dissection.
Yeah, you don't get into black metal too much.
There's too many stigmatas with black metal.
Oh, nice pun.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, there's just it's that tremolo picking that just it bugs me.
Like the high pitch.
Yes.
So this is I would call this technical classic black metal. It's definitely black metal, but like you were saying, it's got some death metal influence. It's very technical for black metal.
Oh, for sure. The riffing in
really
this
good.
is it's nonstop, man. I mean the epic guitar tones, the sounds, the riffs. It's.
But it's clear these guys can fucking play. Like
for sure.
they're like busting out triplets in one part, and like it's not the raw like. I think of Dark Throne as being like real raw black metal that sounds like total garbage. These guys can fucking play.
Yeah. And also around this time, they were different from what was going on, like the Dark Thrones, the Mayhem. Like, this album is dedicated to Euronymous from Mayhem. So this is coming around a time where, like, that was the tail end of, your Burzums, your Dark Throne, not the tail end because these bands have, obviously gone on.
Yeah, that
and
was
on
like,
and on.
that ended in like 92, 91. This came out in 93. So this is all happening around the same time.
Yeah, I definitely think that scene, because they're from Sweden.
It was a transition of the era.
Exactly.
It was. And this dude
It was the passing of the torch with these guys.
Yeah.
And the guy that's the front man for this band, I don't know his last name. His first name's Jan something.
Yeah, Jan.
Do you know how to pronounce his name?
I do not. I this story I'm not even aware of.
This guy's dead too, which is kind of upsetting, but no disrespect to Jan. I think his name's pronounced Jan.
Okay.
Right? It's like Swedish or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
He was like 17 or 18 when they recorded this. And
Really?
Very young, yes.
Yes.
He's been within the scene for many, many years. Even before, he was in
I
other
was not
bands
aware
and
of
stuff
that.
like that. Oh, yeah.
This is, dude, I don't want to, we'll get into what we really like about this, but for him to write this at such a young age, this is some pretty sophisticated music. And it's black metal, which isn't not always super sophisticated. This is like cream of the crop technical black metal, if that's a thing.
This to me was not black metal because of that, because it was so technical.
It's almost like death metal, huh?
It was, but with like that background of black metal where, the reason I don't get into black metal is because it's almost too simple.
Yeah.
Where this was super sophisticated and super technical, and it really it kept you like every time you think you're getting bored with it, it piques your ear and you're like, oh, what the hell's going on here?
Right.
It was so good.
All the guitars are in tune. Yeah, it sounds great.
I mean, epic riffing, epic soloing. I mean, the drums. I thought they were going to fly off the handle at some point. I thought, you know what I mean? I thought it was just, and the drums sound really good and organic
the mix
as well.
was amazing on this. Like nothing stood like way forward or way back. It was almost overproduced, but it wasn't overproduced at all. It was perfect.
You could tell they were trying to that fine line between
they were really riding
the forefathers. They had that.
We're going to bring this to the new age.
You know what I mean? Grungy sound, but at the same time, dude, I am writing the most epic riffs ever, and I don't want them to be muddied. I want them to sound fucking good.
Clear. I want the production to be good. Exactly.
And I think that's why the third album, they progressed. They only did 3 albums. And
okay. I didn't know that.
Chaos or Rain Chaos, whichever, I don't really know. That's a very produced album.
Yeah, that's great.
I mean? It's
I think normally we don't talk about stuff like this, I don't think, but it's worth mentioning in this band. This guy killed himself after Reign Chaos, and in his words, at the height of his career, because he
Wait, how did he, in his words, if he was dead?
left. So he suggested he was going to do this before he did it.
Oh, okay.
He's part of this Luciferian or misanthropic Luciferian order,
Okay.
which is like this Luciferian religion that he was part of,
Mhm.
which is like completely different than like LaVeyan Satanism from like the 1960s.
Other people around that time are also into it. Members of Watain are affiliated with this group and stuff as well.
So this was like kind of a local group to where, you know, in that part of the world or whatever.
Yeah, for sure. It was a little niche that they had going on themselves. It was like a club of chaotic magic, you know. They were doing it really themselves.
So I was familiar with Reign Chaos or Reign Chaos, however you say it.
Yeah.
Whatever. ReinKaos.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the album he released before he killed himself. You know, he was like in his 30s, I think, something like that.
Yeah, he wasn't very old.
No, not and like I said, at the peak of his.
What he is so-called, what
Yeah,
he
his
considered.
so-called, yeah.
He was found
He blew his brains out.
encircled by lit candles and a gun that he blew his brains out.
And
Wow.
that album is like it's a magic operation in conjunction with his suicide.
So when because you know he also did time for being associated to a
A
murder.
murder, yeah.
So I forget how long he was, but I believe it was like 10 years or something. Because like you said, he was
Yeah, I
like
think I read
17 years
something about
old when, you know, the Somberlain first came out. And then they also had the album Storm of the Light's Bane is also a great record that, you know, is the one after this. And then you had the Reign Chaos.
Mhm.
And you could tell that he definitely wanted to get better. Like that
Yeah.
was his goal of like recording better.
There's like a technicality he was going for.
Exactly. And like how he said it, you know, he just thought he had reached the peak of his songwriting and was ready to go, which I think is ridiculous. But,
Yeah.
Yeah, insane. Like why anyone would write. So let's talk about likes. So for me, this is far better than its peers. Like this is better than Dark Throne by a mile. This is better than early Mayhem. I said it. I love Mayhem. It's one of my favorite bands of all time. I have tons of Mayhem t-shirts and stuff. But this is, for 1993, this is blowing that shit out of the water.
Agree 100%.
Yeah. This was really good for 93.
It has that 93 production. Like everything's kind of, like
But-
every track sounds very sonically the same.
But it really doesn't. I mean, honestly, the production value on this album is so good for a black metal band.
For the time and everything, I would agree.
Well, especially for a black metal band from like Sweden. Like
Mm.
they were known for their raw, gritty performance and their really raw,
This
gritty
is-
like recordings at the time. And for this to come out of there was just, it's crazy.
Well, this is also around the time that the like melodic sound started coming out. I mean, Dissection actually toured with bands like In Flames
And like At the Gates and
Entombed
stuff.
At the Gates and stuff. So like, this is
Okay.
actually like, you know, black metal showing that, hey man, we
With that Swedish death metal influence.
So-
exactly.
so is
and
this-
what do we know about Swedish death metal or black metal?
It's melodic.
It's melodic.
Yeah.
And I think these guys are definitely the forefathers of the next generation
Melodic
of
black metal.
Oh, for sure. And also satanic black metal.
Like real
I mean,
Luciferian, like...
This guy was
Evil
serious
shit,
about
yeah.
what the fuck he was talking about.
And to some people, that's what true black metal has to be. Like, if it's not deeply satanic or Luciferian, it's not technically black metal.
Yeah, this is definitely a rule that some people live by, yeah, for sure.
Well, yeah, but also at the time there was cults of Luciferian black metal. Like
For
that was
sure.
a cult in Sweden. Like, yeah, if you were in black metal, you belonged to this cult, and if you didn't, then you were an outsider.
That's what really draws a lot of people to this genre is, like, there's literally churches burning.
Oh,
there's
yeah.
literally people getting murdered. Like, this is no joke.
It was a lifestyle. It was like Hell's Angels
Yes.
in the 70s.
Mayhem.
This
Exactly.
reminds me totally of, like, the gang side of things. I mean,
Yes.
there's pictures
Like
of...
Crips and Bloods, kind of violence in Compton.
Well, yeah, like, well, a lot of the times,
This
a
was
lot of
Swedish
these guys
gangster
were
rap.
actually giving... Well, a lot of these guys were giving each other death threats from like across the world, you know,
Oh yeah.
different countries. They'd be, you know.
So there was like black metal band beefs.
Oh yeah, for sure that were going on.
That's
Like I mean, like when Euronymous
there's like
died,
diss tracks.
when Euronymous died, nobody was like it was Varg.
Like everyone
Well,
knew.
everyone was just kind of like, oh, it could have been this guy. You know. Euronymous is known to be a little,
Yeah, I heard a lot of
You
people
know,
said that he was.
Little surly.
yeah.
Like maybe had it coming. It's a
Well-
terrible thing to say. It was in the early '90s, so I think we're fine.
Well, he really pushed the genre, and if you didn't believe in his beliefs, you weren't part of it, and he would push you out. And I heard a lot of the people after he died were glad he died.
Yeah, I think
Which is
he was
crazy.
also
Fucking
setting-
brutal, bro.
Yeah.
I think also he was like setting rules and setting like
Yeah, exactly.
what you had to be and wasn't living it at also
Yeah,
at the
he
time.
Like he was an elitist.
He was
Yeah,
heading
he
the
just-
gang that
he was
nobody
like-
wanted,
Exactly, he wanted to be the big mob boss and not really do
and
anything.
nobody voted for him to be
And
the
Varg
leader.
was like, "All right, well, I'll
Do you
just
think
stab
that-
you 35 fucking times in the fucking head."
and then said that you fell on my knife.
It's so fucking brutal. I
Yeah,
appreciate
like-
the extremity. I really do.
Yeah,
I like that. There's a couple of interlude
Yeah.
tracks in there that like are sweet guitar, like clean guitar parts with really beautiful playing,
Yes,
and it really like breaks up the black metal, and it's fucking beautiful.
and they all are a continuation of like the previous one.
yeah, and they all connect together.
Yes. So I noticed, to touch on that. So I noticed on A Land Forlorn.
Yeah.
It almost, that guitar riff on the intro sounds like the continuation of that little instrumental at the beginning, just with the distortion and stuff.
Oh yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the same time signature and everything. It's really cool.
this album definitely flows.
Oh yeah,
It
flows for
definitely
sure.
is well thought out. They wrote this definitely to make sense and to go along.
It's all
It's-
very cohesive. It's not a
Exactly.
jumble of songs. It's an album.
exactly. And the artwork is badass.
The guy that did the artwork, he did a bunch of artwork for bands around this time. I think he did all the Dissection
I believe so
albums.
too.
Yeah.
I love the guitars and the melodies in this album so much. I just think that everything
It's
flows
super
well together.
interesting.
Yeah, and the vocals are great. I think they're actually pretty diverse. I think that the lyrics are great as well. I mean, Black Horizons, when he gives out that,
Like the
Oh yeah,
the power metal scream.
That was so good.
fucking every time that comes on, I'm chugging a fucking beer, dude.
So
Like,
what is
I-
that song
like-
that's like 8 minutes long? 10? I don't know. It's fucking long as shit. I like that it's the long. They put their longest song first. That's a thing I'm into on this
Yeah,
show.
Black Horizons,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, Black Horizons is the longest song on the album. It's
Okay.
also the first track. I think that's ballsy. And like halfway through, they come out with that power metal scream, like
Right.
what? And it works. Weirdly, it works.
It
like
works.
so good.
Yeah, so
it's
good.
not tongue in cheek. It's not cheesy.
Oh no.
It somehow
it's done
fits.
tastefully, very
Bizarrely, because it almost doesn't fit, but it does. Really tastefully done.
dude, hard on for sure. Every time that
Every
comes
time,
out.
chills.
Yeah.
And I'm waiting for it to come. Like I want. It's an 8-minute song. I don't know how long it is. Fucking
Yeah.
long as shit. And I'm like, I'm waiting for that part.
Oh, yeah.
And the rest of the song's dope.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent songwriting on this.
Oh, for sure.
An excellent enunciation for a black metal band. You could understand probably 90% of what the singer's saying when he's singing. Like a lot of black metal has that, really.
I think it's partially because it's not super fast.
It's not, but his vocals aren't super streaky or super low.
They're almost
actually-
death metal.
They are. And
That's
they're
why
so
I
good.
definitely say they're like a blackened death metal.
Yeah.
They're not. It's a blend of everything I love.
Yeah, this is not a strict
in this
one.
era of time.
Early 90s
Oh my god,
music.
it's everything that I love. The death metal parts of it, the black metal parts of it.
So
Yeah.
I read somewhere, and you'd have to just look it up because I don't remember where. But when I was researching this album, I read somewhere that a lot of the black metal bands from the area at the time did not accredit this to being a black metal because of all the little interludes that they had
Really?
and stuff. Said that this
I'm
isn't
not
black
That
surprised.
makes sense. Yeah, I was
There's
gonna
all
say-
these elitist black metal people that are like, if
Yeah.
your black metal doesn't sound, you know what that creates? It creates a genre of music that doesn't progress.
Exactly. Yeah.
It makes country music, where country music's like stuck in this weird like rut, and the only
I wonder
people.
what they say about Rain in Chaos now.
Right.
You
It's
know
like
what I mean? That's complete.
it's like progressive black metal, which is an oxymoron almost.
You know, that's the album that usually gets shit on the most by fans, though.
That's the first one I got into, and I thought it was excellent. I think this one is really good.
Before we go into probably our dislikes,
Mm-hmm.
I have to say that for a band to have only 3 like actual full lengths and be this influential, consistent,
and it's a big
it's no
span of
wonder he
time.
blew his brains out. And this to honestly be their debut album.
Really strong debut, like
Yeah.
ridiculously strong.
Yeah, it was
Again,
Quite a few tracks. They're longer songs. They're all cohesive.
but they break it up so well too. With those interludes in between, it keeps the monotony of like that whole black metal thing down. But even if they didn't have them, this album's not monotonous. I mean,
No, it's very interesting.
they show that they are all great musicians on this.
But it's not. So it's not monotonous, but it does start to sound a little samey for me.
It does sound a little samey, but I think that's where those interludes come in. It's because like as a black metal band, you can only show off so much talent, to remain in that black metal realm. And I think those little interludes show that, hey, look, we really can. We're not just black metal. We could play, and we're badass at it.
I think Dissection that's something that's reoccurring for them is that things kind of come back around throughout the album, like Rain Chaos. I mean, if you listen to that, that starts to sound kind of the same. You know what I mean?
In a good way, though.
Exactly, and that's kind of where I see this.
But for me, I guess it's the production. Like by the last song, I'm like, okay, it's the '90s black metal sound.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, the performances are excellent. The production isn't blowing my socks off.
So that is my negative on the album. Is honestly the drums are great, but it honestly sounds like it's flying off the track. Like there's times where the drums aren't like recorded or mixed well with what else is going on. So I would say like the production is well, but the mix is off. I think some things are high and need to be lower, and some things, you know what I mean?
Some things like jump out as too loud and stuff.
I see where
So
you're
that's
going.
my only beef with the
This
Somberlain.
album.
So I have to agree. So my big complaint on this album was that like the vocals at times almost had that almost like they were recorded in a hallway kind of sound to them, and they do kind of either go really high past like almost to the forefront of everything, or really back below them.
Mm-hmm.
Like the instruments, I feel like were pretty even the whole way. Like the guitar, bass, and drums were really good throughout, but the vocals kind of drifted back and forth. And then there were times where I feel like he was trying really hard to come up with stuff. Like I don't remember which song it was off the top of my head. One where he's trying to be kind of like a romantic kind of sounding ode to somebody kind of thing, but some of the words he uses almost sound like he's trying to throw some like, "Hey, look how hardcore we are" kind of thing with it. So some of the lyrics seem like he's trying really hard to be like, "Look, we're black metal, we're black metal."
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
But with intricate lyrics and it like really,
not even really intricate, just like trying to show like, look how evil we are.
but it dissolves into like love story.
Yeah, like it's a love song that he's like, "Oh wait, no, hold on, we're serious,
He's
we're
definitely
evil."
in love with Satan.
Yeah,
This requires a lot of effort to listen to. Like you can't just put it on and like listen to it. Like it took me a couple times to really get into it. I did get into it, but there's like a learning curve to this where it's not super easy to consume. So it was like a hard pill to swallow at times, right? It's not like super accessible.
I listened to this first time and I was like, "Oh God, not another one of these fucking albums." But honestly, by like the third or fourth day listening to it, I was like, I really want to spend more time with this. This is really decent.
So I give this a 3.9 out of 5. This is a killer classic black metal album.
Okay, so I gave this a 3.0 out of 5. And mostly just because, like you said, it's a killer album. It's great replay value. And if I had more time with it, I would totally probably end up at close to where you're at with it. This was a killer album. I really like this one. And I'm not into this style of music that much.
It's like the best black metal album you ever heard.
I don't know if it's the best, but it's up there.
If anyone's like, so what bugs me about black metal, people are like, where do I start? And people are like, oh, go check out Mayhem, check out Dark Throne. I'm like, don't listen to Dark Throne. You're not going to like black metal if you start with Dark Throne. Start with Dissection.
Yes,
this is good.
This is a great intro drug to to black metal.
I guess newer but not very new. A band that I realized that took from this band is Black Dahlia Murder. I think
Really?
I think Black Dahlia Murder has Dissection and Carcass all over it.
Oh, bro, I'm not a big.
Especially early Black Dahlia.
Okay.
So Black Dahlia Murder is a very popular band.
Yeah, no introduction needed almost. You know?
Right. Yeah, but I've never got into them. But that's fascinating that you're saying that. I can almost hear it with the Dissection and
Right.
Carcass.
The production is obviously better with the Black Dahlia Murder, but you can definitely tell with these riffs, even vocally.
Like it's that quick pace that they're
Oh.
kind of like just kind of running through parts real fast.
Yeah, for sure.
Interesting.
So I gotta rate this album at a 4.5 because this thing is a headbanger. I think that it coincides like a motherfucker. The riffing is great. The vocals are great. The lyrics are great. The only thing that messes with me is the production, and that sometimes the drums feel like they're gonna fly off the handle. And I love it from start to finish. It's a motherfucking great album.
That's Dissection, the Somberlain. Please blend responsibly.